The Academy never expected trouble on a calm morning, but trouble liked to arrive on quiet days. The massive training hall felt like a steel cave filled with lights, screens, and armored cadets trying to look confident. Everyone stood in the same straight line, waiting for the test they all feared. They called it a test, but nobody fooled themselves. It was a survival moment dressed up as training. In the center of the hall stood the war beast. The creature was taller than any alien officer. Its dark scales looked like they had been carved from old stone. It wore heavy armor with glowing lines across its chest. The claws were sharp enough to tear a hover tank apart. Many cadets had tried to face it before. Many had failed. Nobody talked about what the beast did when someone failed. Everyone already knew. The officers stood on the raised platform, watching the hall with cold faces. They cared only about strength. They respected nothing else. For them, this beast was a perfect tool. It crushed weakness and rewarded power. They used it to choose who deserved to stand in the Academy's top ranks. At the far back of the hall stood the human named Rian. He wore a simple uniform and carried no weapons. He looked out of place among the armored alien cadets. They carried advanced gear and glowing shields. He carried nothing but his breath. Most aliens believed humans were strange animals that somehow learned to talk. Some thought humans were cute. Others thought humans were jokes. None of them thought humans belonged in front of the war beast. Ryan understood all that. He did not care. He stood still and silent, his hands at his sides, ignoring the alien cadets whispering and laughing. They tried to hide their voices, but the hall carried every sound. They talked about how he would be crushed. They joked about humans breaking like fruit. Ryan kept his eyes on the beast, not on them. The officers called out the first cadet. A tall alien stepped forward with pride. He carried a long spear with a roaring energy tip. He looked at the beast with fire in his eyes. The officers nodded. The test began. The cadet moved first. He launched a direct attack at the beast's head, but the beast moved faster than anything so large should move. It swung its claw, and the cadet flew across the hall. He crashed against the wall and dropped to the floor. The training medic team rushed to him, trying not to look afraid. The officers said nothing. They simply called the next cadet. The second cadet tried using a shield to distract the beast. It did not help. The beast knocked the shield aside like it was made of paper and then slammed its body forward. The cadet hit the ground and did not get up on his own. More medics ran in. The third cadet lasted longer. He managed to dodge 2 attacks. The hall actually stopped whispering for a moment. Everyone watched closely. The cadet rushed forward with confidence, but the beast responded with a loud roar and crushed the cadet's leg armor with one stomp. The sound echoed like thunder. Medics rushed again. Alien cadets who had laughed earlier now stayed silent. The hall felt colder. The officers watched the beast like it was a king standing among insects. But Ryan kept watching too. His face didn't change. 2 more cadets tried. 2 more cadets failed. The medics grew tired. The officers looked annoyed at how weak everyone seemed today. Finally, one officer raised his voice. His tone carried across the hall like metal, scraping the floor. He said the next name, Ryan. The hall filled with the sound of whispers again. Many stared at him. Some shook their heads. Some laughed again, but it sounded weaker now. Ryan walked forward with steady steps. He carried nothing. No weapon, no armor, no shield. Just him. The officers frowned. The beast lifted its head, its eyes glowing like molten stone. Ryan walked until he reached the center. He stood a few meters before the beast and stopped. Everyone expected fear. Everyone expected shaking. They expected him to look small and helpless. Instead, he stood straight. His breathing stayed calm. His gaze did not leave the beast's eyes. The beast leaned forward slowly. Its heavy claws tapped the floor. The hall grew so quiet that even the faint hum of the lights felt loud. The beast's breath filled the space between them like hot smoke. Everyone waited for the moment the beast attacked. Some expected Ryan to run, others expected him to scream. Ryan did none of that. He simply stayed still. The beast moved closer. Its massive head lowered down to Ryan's level. Its eyes stared deep into him, almost like it was searching for something. Ryan kept his hands at his sides. He did not raise them. He did not defend himself. He just watched, calm as if facing something he already understood. The beast let out a deep sound, almost like a growl, but softer. The officers shifted in confusion. They had never heard that sound before. The beast's breathing slowed. Its tail rested on the floor. Then something happened that no one in the academy had ever imagined. The war beast bent its body, slowly, carefully. It lowered itself until its massive head touched the ground. It bowed. The entire hall froze. The cadets stared with wide eyes. The medics stopped moving. The officers stood like statues. Nobody believed what they saw. The undefeated war beast that crushed every cadet lowered itself before a simple human with no armor, no weapons, and no fear. Ryan did not smile. He did not move. He just watched the beast bow and understood what it meant. The beast had chosen him, not as a master, not as a threat, but as someone worth respecting. The officers looked at each other in shock. Nothing like this had happened before. Nothing in their records explained it. The academy had trained warriors for generations, but no warrior had ever gained the loyalty of the beast. Ryan exhaled, slowly. The hall felt different now, not because the beast had changed, but because the truth had quietly arrived. Sometimes the strongest creature in the room was not the one with claws or armor. Sometimes it was the one who did not step back. The silence in the training hall felt heavier than the armor on the cadets' backs. The war beast stayed bowed with its head touching the floor, the glowing lines on its armor dimming like a calm heartbeat. Ryan still stood in front of it, steady and quiet, as if moments like this were normal for him. The officers tried to hide their shock, but their eyes betrayed them. This was not strength they understood. They only believed in force. They never believed in calm. The senior officer finally stepped forward. His armor clicked with every movement. His voice shook slightly when he called for the beast to rise. The war beast did not move. It kept its head low, almost as if refusing the command. The other officers exchanged nervous looks. The cadets whispered again, and none of them sounded brave anymore. Ryan slowly raised his hand, not to strike, but simply to touch the beast's head. The hall held its breath. His fingers brushed over the creature's thick scales. The beast let out a quiet rumble, warm and deep, but not dangerous. It sounded almost peaceful. The officers stared like they were witnessing some forbidden ritual. The senior officer cleared his throat, trying to regain authority he clearly lost. He asked Ryan what he thought he was doing. Ryan answered with the same calm tone he had since he walked in. He said he was not doing anything, that the beast made its choice on its own. Some cadets looked away, embarrassed that a human said something they didn't dare to say. The officer wanted to deny that, but he could not. The beast's bow spoke louder than any argument. Ryan stepped aside, and the beast finally lifted its head. It rose slowly, towering above everyone in the hall. Its eyes stayed fixed on Ryan. It moved closer, and for a moment the officers thought it might attack him after all. But the beast simply shifted its body until it stood behind Ryan, almost like a guardian waiting for a threat. No one had ever seen the beast stand behind anyone. The officers spoke in low voices, arguing among themselves. Some wanted Rian removed. Some wanted the beast restrained. A few feared that forcing anything on them might cause the beast to react. They knew its strength. They had seen its power. None of them wanted to trigger it now that it followed someone they did not control. One officer walked closer and asked Ryan how he made the beast obey him. Ryan answered that he didn't make it do anything. He only stood firm. The beast chose him because of that. The officer did not understand. Cadets trained for years to gain strength. They fought until their armor cracked. They believed respect came from domination. Ryan simply existed, and the beast respected that more than all their efforts. The officer turned away, frustrated. The cadets began to whisper again, but this time their voices carried curiosity instead of cruelty. Some wondered if humans had a hidden power. Others wondered if the beast saw something in Rian no one else could see. A few cadets felt jealous. They trained so hard and still fell. Rian, without fancy armor or advanced strength, walked through the test untouched. The senior officer ordered everyone to clear the hall. Cadets started moving, looking over their shoulders at the beast every few seconds. The medics helped the injured out. The hall slowly emptied until only Ryan, the officers, and the war beast remained. One officer suggested that they should study Ryan to understand why the beast reacted this way. Ryan turned his head just slightly when he heard that suggestion. The beast let out a low growl that echoed through the hall. The officers immediately stopped talking. The senior officer glared at Ryan and asked him to follow him to the command chamber. The beast moved too, as if following the command as well. The officer panicked and said the beast was not allowed inside the chamber. Ryan looked at the beast and then at the officer. He explained that if the beast wanted to follow him, no door in the academy would stop it. The beast's tail tapped the ground. Everyone heard it. Reluctantly, the senior officer allowed the beast to come, but with a safe distance. Ryan and the beast walked behind the officers toward the chamber. Cadets in the hallways froze as they passed. They pushed themselves against walls to avoid the creature that had defeated all of them. Yet, the beast walked calmly, matching Ryan's pace step by step. Inside the command chamber, a hologram lit the center of the room, showing the academy grounds and the surrounding training zones. The officers stood around the hologram, pretending to focus on work, but their eyes kept drifting to the doorway where Ryan and the beast entered. The senior officer took a long breath before speaking. He told Ryan that the academy now had a problem. The war beast could not be controlled unless it respected someone. Now, it respected Ryan. That meant Ryan was the only one who could command it. If Ryan refused, the academy would lose its strongest asset. Ryan listened without emotion. He waited for the officer to finish. When the silence arrived, Ryan asked them why they needed the beast so badly. The officer explained that the academy trained warriors to face threats outside the empire. There were worlds where predators made the war beast look like a docile pet. They needed cadets who could survive those missions, and the beast was their best measurement of strength. Ryan understood the logic, but he also saw a flaw. They treated strength like a number, something to measure with fear and pain. They thought power grew through forcing battles. They never considered that loyalty and trust could be stronger than fear. The beast looked down at Ryan and rumbled again, almost agreeing with him. The officers watched the interaction carefully. For the first time, they did not speak with authority. They sounded like students trying to understand a lesson. Ryan finally said he would help them, but only if the beast was treated with respect and not used like a tool. The senior officer hesitated, but it was clear he had no other choice. He agreed. The war beast lowered its head slightly, as if acknowledging the decision. The officers now realized something important. This was no longer just a test or a training day. Something new had begun. A shift in power, a change in how the academy worked. They had a human who held the trust of a creature stronger than any soldier, and soon the entire galaxy would hear about it. The academy changed after that day, even if the officers pretended everything stayed normal. Silence followed Ryan everywhere he walked. Cadets stepped aside when he passed, not because they feared him, but because they feared what walked behind him. The war beast followed like a shadow made of muscle and armor. Its claws clicked softly on the floor, but every click reminded people of how easily those same claws crushed shields, armor, and pride. Some cadets watched with open curiosity. Others watched with jealousy. A few stared with the heavy bitterness of warriors who trained their whole lives only to be defeated by a single moment they could not understand. None of them missed the truth. The beast walked calmly behind Rian, never beside him, never ahead of him, always watching his back. Inside the academy courtyard, training continued as usual. Cadets practiced with weapons, ran across battlefields, and used simulation drones to sharpen their reactions. But every eye shifted when Ryan entered. The officers insisted he train with the other cadets, but they had no idea how to structure that training. What exercise used a war beast as a partner? The senior officer called Ryan to the center of the courtyard. He wanted to test something simple. He asked Ryan to give the beast a command. Any command. The courtyard went silent. Ryan did not want to treat the beast like a machine, but he understood that trust had to be shown openly. He looked at the beast and quietly told it to step forward. The beast obeyed instantly. The officers narrowed their eyes. They were looking for tricks. They found none. Ryan told the beast to turn left. It did. He asked it to lower itself. It did. He asked it to stay still. The beast froze, like a statue. Some cadets gasped softly. They had never imagined the beast could follow such simple commands. They had only seen it crush people. Seeing it behave gently felt impossible, like watching a storm pause in the sky because someone asked it nicely. One cadet finally raised his hand. He wanted to try giving the beast a command. The officers agreed. The cadet walked forward carefully. He moved like someone approaching the edge of a cliff. He gave the same command Ryan used. He told the beast to step forward. The beast did nothing. The cadet repeated the command, louder this time. The beast still did nothing. The cadet stepped closer, trying to show confidence. But the beast let out a low growl that rolled across the courtyard like thunder. The cadet stumbled back, his legs shaking. The beast returned to silence only when Ryan placed a hand on its shoulder. The senior officer finally understood. This was not about strength. This was not about control. This was about bond, something all their training programs ignored. Later in the command chamber, the officers surrounded a glowing hologram. They discussed using Ryan and the beast for advanced missions. Some officers wanted to send them to hostile planets. Others wanted to study the beast's biology further. A few wanted to use Ryan to train future cadets. But none of them asked what Ryan wanted. Ryan looked at the hologram quietly. He saw maps of rift zones, battle stations, and worlds filled with predators. He listened without interrupting, but his mind was elsewhere. The Academy wanted to use the beast again. They wanted to use him as a bridge to that power. He finally asked the officers a simple question. Why did they create the war beast? The officers exchanged uncomfortable glances. They never expected the question. They explained that the beast was not created. It was found. On a world where even armored squads disappeared without a trace, the beast was young when they captured it, half the size it was now. Even then, it had destroyed 2 transports before being subdued. Rian looked at the beast standing behind him. He imagined a younger version of it, scared and alone. He wondered what it survived, what it lost, and how many battles shaped its instincts. The senior officer said the beast had no bond with anyone. It attacked all cadets without hesitation. No species had ever earned its respect. Until Ryan. Ryan nodded slowly. He understood the beast more clearly now. This was not a monster born for war. It was a survivor forced into a cage. Its strength grew in darkness, but its loyalty waited for someone who did not fear it. The officers planned to begin advanced training with Ryan immediately. But something unexpected happened. When the officers dismissed him, the beast did not follow him out. Instead, it remained inside the command chamber. It stood in front of the hologram, staring at the image of its home world displayed on the glowing map. It let out a soft sound, one Ryan had never heard before. Not anger, not warning. Something else. Something like longing. Ryan stepped beside the beast. The officers watched curiously, unsure what they were seeing. Ryan placed a hand on its armor and whispered that he understood. The beast lowered its head slowly. The senior officer grew impatient and asked what the beast was doing. Rian answered that it recognized its home. The officers dismissed that idea. They believed beasts had no emotional memory. But Rian disagreed. He told them that strength was not only about power, it was also about connection. The officers did not like the idea. They believed emotions were weaknesses. But watching the beast stand so still beside Ryan made them question their beliefs for the first time. When Ryan and the beast finally left the chamber, the senior officer stared at the hologram of the beast's homeworld. He wondered what lived on that planet, what shaped a creature so powerful, and whether the Academy had made a mistake taking it. Ryan stepped into the hallway. The beast walked with him, close enough that its armor brushed softly against the wall. Cadets again made space for them. They watched with a mix of respect and fear. But Ryan did not walk with pride. He walked with purpose, thinking about the beast's home, thinking about why it bowed to him, and thinking about what came next. Because this bond was more than a moment in the training hall. It was the start of something larger. Something the Academy had never prepared for, something the galaxy would soon notice. The Academy tried to return to its routine, but nothing felt normal anymore. Every hallway Ryan walked through had eyes watching him. Cadets who once joked about humans now stepped back with silent respect. Officers who once ignored him now tracked his movements through their screens. The war beast stayed close behind him, its heavy steps echoing through the steel halls like distant thunder. Ryan did not focus on them. He only focused on the beast's behavior. It had changed. Before, the beast moved like a weapon waiting for an order. Now it moved like a guardian studying its surroundings, ready to protect him at any moment. Even its breathing felt calmer, as if the constant tension it lived with had eased just slightly. The Academy scheduled a new test. The officers called it an evaluation exercise, but everyone knew what it really was. They wanted to see how the bond worked during a real threat. The cadets gathered around the training arena, whispering nervously. The arena was a massive steel circle with high walls and glowing lines showing the simulation zones. Ryan stood inside the arena with the beast beside him. The officers activated the simulation. The floor shifted, and the lights changed. Alien drones dropped from the ceiling, forming shapes of predators from other worlds. They looked like living shadows, each with glowing eyes and razor-like limbs. The cadets expected Ryan to step back. Instead, he stood firm again. The beast lowered its body, ready to defend. The first drone charged. It moved fast, almost too fast to see. Before it reached them, the beast lunged forward with a roar that shook the arena. Its claws tore through the drone like metal foil. Sparks flew across the floor. The beast landed with heavy force, its eyes glowing brighter. Two more drones attacked from the sides. Ryan didn't give commands. He trusted the beast's instinct. It spun around with surprising grace for its size, smashing one drone with its tail and crushing the other under its weight. The cadets gasped. The officers scribbled notes on their screens, trying to understand how the beast moved so smoothly with no verbal orders. Ryan studied the beast's movements. It wasn't just fighting. It was protecting him. Every step, every strike, every roar was centered around keeping him safe. Ryan sensed its awareness, its strength, its purpose. Then the simulation changed again. A new creature appeared, taller, sharper, more powerful than the drones. The officers had designed it specifically to test limits. The hologram formed into a massive predator with black armor and blade-like arms. It charged straight for Ryan. The beast reacted faster than anyone expected. It jumped between Ryan and the creature, slamming its armored shoulder into the enemy with earth-shaking force. The shockwave rippled through the arena. The creature staggered, then slashed its blades. The beast blocked the attack, sparks bursting against its scaled armor. The battle became brutal. The beast locked claws with the predator, pushing against it with all its strength. The cadets watched wide-eyed. They had never seen the war beast fight with such controlled fury. Before, it fought wildly with raw aggression. Now, it fought with purpose, like a warrior defending something precious. The predator struck again, but the beast used its whole body to pin it down. With a final roar, the beast crushed the simulation creature's chest. The hologram burst into shards of light. The arena fell silent. Ryan stepped forward and touched the beast's neck gently. The beast lowered its head, breathing heavily but calm. It didn't roar in victory. It simply returned to his side like the fight meant nothing. The officers couldn't hide their amazement. They opened the arena gate and approached cautiously. The senior officer admitted that the beast's reaction time increased. Its strength seemed boosted, and its focus had sharpened during the battle. He said it was impossible, but the evidence stood right in front of them. Ryan told them it wasn't impossible. It was simple. The beast fought differently because it wasn't fighting alone anymore. Some officers looked uncomfortable. The idea of strength coming from trust rather than fear undermined the Academy's entire philosophy. But the results were right there in the shattered remains of the simulation. Later, in the Academy mess hall, cadets gathered around Ryan. They asked questions they were too afraid to ask earlier. They wanted to know how he stood without shaking. They wanted to know why the beast chose him. Ryan didn't have easy answers. He told them the truth. He didn't try to control the beast. He didn't try to dominate it. He only respected it. Some cadets nodded slowly. Others looked confused. Respect was not something their training taught them to use as a weapon. While Ryan spoke, the beast lay beside his table like a giant armored guardian. It kept its head low, but its eyes alert. The cadets kept a safe distance. Nobody wanted to get too close. Then something unexpected happened. A small cadet, younger than the rest, approached Ryan. Her hands shook, but she didn't run away. She asked if she could touch the beast. The hall froze. Ryan looked at the beast. The beast looked at the cadet. Slowly, The massive creature lowered its head even further. Ryan nodded. The cadet stepped forward carefully and placed her hand on the beast's scales. The beast let out a soft rumble, not angry, not warning, but peaceful. The hall erupted with whispers. Many couldn't believe it. The beast allowed a cadet to touch it. It was a small moment, but a powerful one. The officers watching from the balcony exchanged uneasy glances. The academy was changing, and they had no control over it. As Ryan and the beast left the hall, the senior officer approached with urgent news. A threat had appeared in the academy's outer sector. Something powerful, something unknown, something even the war beast might fear. Ryan's calm expression faded slightly. The beast's claws dug into the floor. Whatever was coming, it was not part of any simulation, and the academy would soon learn why the beast bowed to the one who stood firm. The academy's outer alarms echoed through every hallway, sharp and cold like metal striking bone. Cadets rushed out of their rooms unsure whether this was another simulation or something real. Ryan walked toward the command sector with the war beast close behind him. The creature's heavy footsteps matched the tension in the air. It sensed danger long before any alarm. Inside the command chamber, the officers moved quickly around the holographic map. A red pulse flashed in the outer sector, showing a breach point. The senior officer looked up when Ryan entered. His face carried something rare in the academy. Fear. He explained that an unknown creature broke through their perimeter field. It destroyed 2 scout drones and ripped the outer gate clean off its hinges. The attack wasn't random. The creature moved with purpose, straight toward the academy's central training grounds. Ryan studied the hologram and then looked at the war beast. The beast stared at the red pulse with tense, narrowed eyes. It let out a growl that felt deeper than anger. It felt personal. Ryan understood something the officers didn't. This wasn't a wild attack. This was connected to the beast. The senior officer ordered a battle squad to intercept the creature. The squad armed themselves with long rifles and static shields, lining up in formation just outside the breached area. But the war beast suddenly stepped forward, blocking the exit. Its body tensed like a wall of armored muscle. The officers shouted at it to move. It didn't. Ryan placed a hand on the beast's side. The creature slowly turned its head toward him. Its eyes carried a warning Ryan felt in his chest. There was something dangerous coming. Something the beast knew. The officers asked Ryan what the beast was trying to tell them. Ryan said the incoming creature wasn't just strong, it was from the war beast's home world, maybe even stronger than it. The officers tried to argue, but before they could, the ground shook. The entire academy felt the impact. The lights flickered. Dust fell from the high steel beams. Cadets grabbed onto rails as another shock tremor rolled through the ground. The senior officer ordered everyone to retreat to safe zones. But Ryan didn't move. He knew the beast wouldn't let him. Outside, the battle squad started firing. Bright blue bolts lit up the sky. But each shot disappeared into darkness, swallowed by something massive. A loud cracking sound echoed across the training grounds. The squad's screams followed right after. The officers panicked and sealed the doors. Ryan walked toward them, calm despite the chaos. He told them locking the academy would not save anyone. The creature wasn't trying to get in. It was trying to reach the war beast. The beast stepped beside him, ready. The officers hesitated but opened a small view screen. The outside field showed a tall, monstrous shape moving through smoke and dust. It stood almost twice the height of the war beast. Its body was covered in thick, jagged armor that looked grown, not built. Its eyes glowed like 2 hot stars. Every step left cracks in the ground. The officers whispered about sending air units, explosives, or heavy artillery. Ryan said none of that would work. The creature moved with a strange awareness, like it knew attacks before they happened. It scanned the academy walls, almost searching for a familiar scent. It wanted the beast. Ryan faced the senior officer and told him to open the main gates. The officers thought he was insane. But the beast growled loudly, a sound so powerful it made the steel walls vibrate. The officers realized the beast would break through the gates if they didn't open them. The gates slid open slowly. Ryan and the war beast step outside. Cadets hiding behind walls held their breath. Officers watched through screens. The training grounds looked destroyed. Deep claw marks cut across the ground. The battle squad's weapons lay broken. Smoke covered the sky. And then the creature stepped forward. The war beast stood in front of Ryan, its back arched, claws ready. The larger creature took slow steps, examining the smaller beast. It let out a deep, rumbling call that echoed like a storm. Ryan didn't understand the sound, but the war beast did. It stepped forward and answered with its own roar. The war. Two creatures circled each other. Dust swirled around them. Their armor plates glowed with natural heat. The ground cracked beneath their weight. Every cadet felt the tension from hundreds of meters away. Then the larger creature spoke with movement, not words. It swung a massive claw at the beast. The war beast leaped back, dodging with surprising speed. The two collided again, claws scraping, armor smashing, each blow sending shock waves through the air. Ryan wanted to step back, but the beast kept glancing at him, as if reminding him not to leave. The larger creature tried to slam the smaller one into the ground. The war beast rolled away and countered by ramming its shoulder into the creature's chest. Sparks flew. The cadets, watching from behind barriers, felt the impact shake their bones. The officers yelled for Ryan to retreat, but he refused. He stayed exactly where he stood, calm and steady. The war beast fought with renewed energy every time it saw Ryan still in place, but Ryan noticed something the officers didn't. The larger creature wasn't just attacking, it was challenging, testing, judging. The war beast roared back, pushing harder, moving faster. But the larger creature was older, heavier, and possibly more powerful. It forced the beast toward the academy wall. The ground cracked under their feet. Then the larger creature raised its claw to strike a finishing blow. Ryan stepped forward. He didn't shout. He didn't panic. He simply walked with the same firm calm that made the war beast bow to him on the first day. The larger creature stopped. It turned its glowing eyes toward him. Cadets gasped. Officers froze. Even the war beast stared, confused at Ryan's courage. Ryan stood between the two creatures, his voice quiet but steady. He said he understood why the larger creature came. He said the beast beside him wasn't its enemy. It was its kin, its equal. Maybe its lost rival, maybe its lost family. The larger creature lowered its claw. It stared at Ryan for a long moment. Then it let out a low rumble that rolled across the entire academy. The meaning was unclear, but the war beast understood. And for the first time since the battle started, the beast stepped back, not in fear, but in respect. The larger creature stood still, staring at Ryan with glowing eyes that carried old battles and old memories. The war beast moved beside him, breathing hard from the fight, yet calmer than anyone expected. The academy grounds had grown silent. Even the alarms stopped, as if the whole structure was watching. Cadets hid behind broken walls, afraid to make a sound. Officers held their weapons lowered, not daring to fire. Nothing felt like a battlefield now. It felt like a meeting between forces, older than the academy itself. Ryan stood between the two creatures with steady breaths. He understood one thing clearly. Fear would only make the moment worse. Calm was the only path forward. The same calm that made the war beast bow to him on the first day. The larger creature slowly lowered itself until it crouched, its head near the ground. It made a deep sound, long and heavy. The war beast responded with the same sound. The two creatures faced each other not as enemies, but as something closer to kin. They spoke without words, using vibrations and tones that only their species understood. Ryan watched quietly. He knew he was witnessing something bigger than the academy. The officers didn't understand, but Ryan did. The war beast had not been captured from its world alone. There were others out there, stronger, older, connected. This new creature wasn't here to destroy. It was here to find what it had lost. The war beast took a step forward and touched its forehead to the larger creature's armor. A soft glow appeared between them, pulsing like shared breath. Ryan felt the weight of their bond, their history, their pain. The larger creature turned its gaze toward Ryan again. This time, its eyes didn't burn with challenge. They watched him with something like respect. Ryan didn't move. He let his presence speak for him. Slowly, the larger creature lowered its head to him. Gasps erupted across the academy. Cadets couldn't believe their eyes. Officers stared with open confusion. Even the senior officer, who never showed emotion, stood frozen. The creature that crushed their gates and tore apart their defenses now bowed to the same human who earned the loyalty of the war beast. Ryan stepped closer and placed his hand on the creature's massive armored snout. Its breath washed over him like warm air from a furnace. It didn't growl. It didn't threaten. It accepted him. The war beast moved beside Ryan, standing between the two creatures like someone reuniting with an old friend. It seemed relieved, calmer than it had ever been in the academy. For the first time, it didn't look trapped. It looked whole. The senior officer approached carefully. He asked Ryan what this meant. Ryan answered in simple words. The creatures weren't weapons. They were survivors of a world far harsher than anything the academy knew. The war beast bowed to him because he didn't treat it like a tool. And now, the larger creature bowed to him for the same reason. The officers argued about policy, safety, and control. But none of their words mattered. The reality stood in front of them. Strength wasn't fear. It wasn't domination. It wasn't punishment. Strength was the moment when even the most dangerous creature recognized someone who stood without trembling. The senior officer finally understood. He ordered the academy defenses lowered. He ordered no cadet to attack the creatures again. He admitted they had made mistakes. They treated the beasts as enemies. Ryan treated them as equals. The academy shifted that day. Cadets stepped forward, watching closely as the larger creature rose once more. It growled softly, but not with aggression. It turned toward the broken outer gates, looking back at Ryan and the war beast. It waited, almost asking if the smaller beast would follow. The war beast looked at Ryan. Ryan nodded gently. The beast stepped toward the larger creature. For the first time, the academy's strongest creature walked not as a weapon, but as part of something bigger. But it didn't leave alone. The larger creature growled again, softer this time. And then both creatures nudged Ryan with their armored snouts. The cadets stared in disbelief. The beasts wanted Ryan to come with them. They had accepted him not just as a bondholder, but as part of their own instinctive trust. Ryan placed a hand on each creature, thinking deeply. He knew he could not go to their world, but he also knew they needed freedom. They needed to return home. He knelt down and whispered to the war beast. The beast lowered its head, understanding more than any cadet ever had. Ryan told it to go, to return to the world it came from, to live free. The beast pressed its forehead against his chest. It was a goodbye marked in silence. The larger creature stepped beside it, ready to leave. Ryan stepped back and gave one last nod. The two creatures turned and walked toward the horizon where the Academy shields had dropped. Their massive figures moved together side by side, disappearing into the shattered gate and the open wild beyond. Cadets watched with awe. Officers stayed speechless. Ryan stood alone on the ruined training ground, dust settling around him. The war beast, once feared by all, had walked away free, and it did so because a human stood firm when everyone else ran. The Academy would never be the same. They finally learned what true strength looked like, and they learned it from the one person they never expected, a human.